good afternoon. The Secretary General and the High Representative Vice President of the Commission will brief you on the endorsement just now, and then they'll be happy to take your questions. Secretary General.
Good afternoon. We have just finished a meeting where we addressed the cooperation between NATO and the European Union. And the meeting was attended by High Representative Vice President Federica Mogherini and with the Minister from Sweden and the Ambassador from Finland. So in addition to the 28 members of the alliance and Montenegro, we also had representatives from the European Union present at the meeting. And it's always a great pleasure to welcome you to NATO, Federica, and especially when we are able to agree on such a substantial list of measures to take our cooperation forward. And we have been working together on how to strengthen and how to enhance the cooperation between NATO and the European Union for a long time. So therefore, I think today we really mark a milestone in our efforts to build our cooperation and to strengthen the partnership between NATO and the European Union. The security of Europe and North America is interconnected. A stronger NATO is good for EU, and a stronger EU is good for NATO. And strengthening our strategic partnership is more important than ever. First, we all face new threats and new security challenges, which combine military and non-military means of aggression, such as hybrid, cyber, terrorism, and neither NATO nor the European Union has the full range of tools to respond to these challenges, so therefore we have to cooperate. Second, the EU is taking steps in strengthening European defense, which we welcome. It is important that these steps are complementary with NATO efforts. And third, the strength of the transatlantic bond is vital to our security. Strong ties between NATO and the EU bring North America and Europe closer together. In Warsaw in July, I signed the joint declaration with Presidents Tusk and Juncker. We said at that time that we had never done so much together. Now we are going to do even more together. We have identified over 40 proposals in 7 key areas. They are pragmatic, but they are ambitious. On hybrid, we agreed on concrete measures to increase situational awareness and to bolster our nation's resilience. On maritime, we enhanced cooperation between Operation Sea Guardian and Sophia in the Mediterranean through logistical support and information sharing. On cyber, we will strengthen our mutual participation in exercises and foster research. NATO and the EU will also work more closely together to build the capacity of our partners, and we have committed to pursue greater coherence in the development of our defense capabilities. So these are only some examples of how we now are strengthening the cooperation between NATO and the European Union in a very concrete and pragmatic way. And I strongly encourage the fullest involvement of non-EU allies in European defense because they contribute substantially to European security. So let me therefore thank Federica for her outstanding personal commitment to our cooperation. This has been a priority for both of us since we both took office in the autumn of 2014. But before I pass the floor to Federica, let me say some very few words about the importance of strong institutions in times of instability as we see today. Both NATO and the EU were established as a result of 2 world wars. Together, they helped bring peace and security to our continent based on our shared values. Both NATO and the European Union have seen many changes and many challenges. But throughout the decades, they have proven robust and adaptable. This is also what we are doing now, adapting to a new security environment. And therefore, I'm confident that we will continue to do this also in the years ahead, that NATO and the European Union are able to adapt to a changing and more challenging security environment. So once again, Federica, it's great to have you here. Great to attend this meeting together with you, and great to see that we are able to deliver concrete measures and proposals on how to strengthen our cooperation. Please welcome.
Thank you very much, Jens, and thank you for hosting me here again. We see each other regularly here in NATO, in the European Union side of the town. And I remember very well when we took office more or less in the same period of time in autumn 2014. We had an initial meeting, I think it was the very same day when I started, and we said to each other that we wanted our reciprocal mandates to deliver a strong cooperation, practical cooperation between the European Union and NATO, and I think that we can be satisfied on the work we've done so far, knowing that we still have some time to continue to work in this direction. Indeed, the decisions that the foreign ministers of the Atlantic Council here in NATO took today, in parallel with the decision that the Council of the European Union took earlier this morning, is a major step forward. I would say that today we start a new important era in EU-NATO cooperation. You said pragmatic but ambitious. I would say ambitious and pragmatic. It's probably seen from the north and from the south, the same thing. We have 42 concrete proposals for implementation. That is exactly what we were mandated to do in the joint declaration you signed in Warsaw last July, based on constant political dialogue that made it possible for us and for our teams to work on a common set of proposals. So these 42 concrete actions that I understand are made public, so you can look at them into details, cover all the 7 areas of cooperation we identified in Warsaw, and are already the result of a common work. Is somehow, if you allow me the terminology, a common exercise already. Because in this list of 42 concrete proposals, you don't find the EU proposals and the NATO proposals. We've worked on them together, and this has proven to be already a very good work that our teams have done in these months with a very high degree of commitment, also very high speed. And all member states of the European Union and allies in NATO were extremely satisfied with the process so far. This is very encouraging for the next steps, because this is going to be only the beginning. Now we enter into the implementation phase as of tomorrow. Our partnership moves somehow from the principles of being partners and friends, overcoming some of the ghosts of the past, and moving towards very concrete action, serving common mutual interests and our common set of values. We could see very clearly today, both on the EU and on the NATO side, unity, full unity of all allies and all EU member states, and commitment to our common set of values and shared interests across the Atlantic. And that is now more important than ever, as you said, Jens. The decision taken today for the European Union, as you mentioned, is integral part and coherent part of what I would call a package to reinforce the European Union security and defense policy. The EU-NATO cooperation is a fundamental pillar of this package. The other two are, one, the implementation of the global strategy we endorsed with the foreign and defense ministers of the European Union a couple of weeks ago, and second, the Commission Defense Action Plan that is focusing more on the support to capabilities developments, which is also going to be important for NATO because member states and allies have one set of forces that then can be used for different purposes, and that work I presented last week in the Commission is basically focusing on the industrial and research base of our defense. So this is for sure one of the fields where, again, working together proves to be vital, where the added value, first of all, of the European Union, of the NATO alliance, of our common work is fundamental. As Jens said, the size and the nature of challenges and also opportunities we have around us is so new and so big that none of our member states or allies can deal with that together alone, but needs to build bridges and alliances to work together on this. And we see our citizens are asking for security more and more. So we have a collective duty and responsibility to deliver on their security, and we know very well we can do that only together. And this is exactly what we've decided to do today. So, Jens, I would like to thank you very much for an excellent, perfect cooperation. We are different. NATO and the European Union has a different nature. We are respectful of our differences, of our autonomies, of our difference also in the composition. But we are determined to work very well together, and I think this will be not only possible, but also very easy.